Welcome to Power Fridays Live, the channel that aims to make a difference in the world through transformation, spiritual growth, and for entrepreneurs. Our vision is to empower individuals to live their lives with purpose and to make a positive impact on the world. We believe that power and purpose are the driving forces behind success and fulfillment in both personal and professional life. Through our broadcast, we discuss business strategies and techniques that can help entrepreneurs achieve their goals and take their business to the next level. We believe that through sharing knowledge and experience, we can empower each other to succeed and make a difference in the world. Now here's our host, Janelle Pulley.
Hello, welcome to Power Fridays Live. I am so excited to be with you this evening, and welcome Laura Gal Rogers.
Hello,
How are you this evening?
yes, I'm doing awesome, thank you.
Thank you so much for being with me today. I know that you could be anywhere else in the world, but I'm so appreciative of this time. I know that we've been friends for many, many years,
Mm.
and I'm excited to know that you're a veteran, you're a mom, you're a wife of over 30 years. And so I'm so excited to learn more about you because we've had that span of time where a lot has
Right?
happened. So, can you tell the audience, I know a little bit about you. So, can you
Yeah.
tell our audience a little bit about yourself?
Yeah, absolutely. So, number one, I am a Christian, and my husband and I have actually been in the ministry since 1997. That's actually when we went to seminary. So, we've been in the ministry. We have lived in North Carolina and South Carolina longer than we have lived ever in Missouri, where you and I grew up. So, I am more Carolinian than anything now. We have traveled the world since my husband and I are both veterans and loved every minute of it, love the life that I've lived, and I would not trade it for the world at all. So that's who I am, and that's where I'm at today.
That's awesome. Thank you so much. And I'm so glad to reconnect with you after all these years to learn about your pastoral commitment, and to learn about, how the trajectory of your life changed. And I
Oh,
know
yeah.
it started, with you, leaving, graduating high school and going into
Mhm.
the military. Was that how it happened?
Actually, no. So I went to college first, but
Okay.
I was doing what my parents wanted me to do and not what I wanted to do. And so I was extremely discontent, not happy with where I was, where my life was going. So, growing up in a small town, what do? You say, I've got to get out of here, and just kind of make my own way. And so so I only went one semester and actually dropped out in the middle of the semester. So I never even finished that first semester because I just wasn't happy. So that's when I went into the military. And, you and I are both September babies. So when we graduated, we were still 17, still young, didn't, um, I just had to leave home like most people who join the military. They're joining the military to get away from home and make my own way. And I knew if I stayed home, I would not be able to because I would have the influence of both parents telling me, you should do this, you should do that. And I wouldn't be able to so-called quiet the demons. I'm not calling my parents demons, but the demons inside my own head to try to figure out, should I do what they want to do? Should I just what, because you're young, you want to find your own
Yes.
way. So that's when I joined the military. I was a linguist in the military. That's part of the military intelligence sector of the military. So
Oh,
that was interesting. And my husband and I were actually best friends in high school. And so we've known each other forever. And then so when I got out of the military, I ended up getting hurt. I was a disabled veteran by age 20.
oh,
And um, my husband and I reconnected, ended up dating, got married a couple years later, and we are still married. We have a daughter, and yeah.
awesome. Well, that's great. And I'm so
Yeah.
glad that you touched on finding your own way, creating
Yes.
your own path, and of course, the Bible tells us, for the plans that I have for you, the plans to prosper you and, give you hope in a future. And so you
Mhm.
sought that out for yourself, in which
Oh, yes.
I'm so glad and happy that you did, and all of that time, and I'm I go through things, right? I'm like,
Oh,
gosh, I've
yes.
got all of this stuff, and what am I going to do with it? And I want to preserve it. I'm not a hoarder, by
Right.
some people's definitions. But all of those memories, all of the things that,
Yes.
I'm connected with, is like I held on to like a t-shirt, basically.
Right.
Like,
Yes.
let me validate that. It's
Right.
not junk, it's a t-shirt.
Right.
And so after we reconnected, and I was part of your workshop, and you shared about quilting reflections. And
Yes.
after your entrepreneurial spirit kicked in, then can you share with us a little bit about how you became to be crafty quilting?
Okay. So, I started quilting back in 2012. So I've not quilted all my life like some people have. I started later in 2012. I was already in my 40s. And my mom shared a YouTube video with me. Now, I've been sewing since I was a little girl, designing Barbie clothes and things, because when you grow up in a small town, you don't really have a lot of money. And there were three of us girls. So we shared a Wonder Woman Barbie. And I say Barbie because it wasn't a Barbie, it was Wonder Woman that looked like a Barbie. But back in the 70s, her suit was just painted on her. It wasn't even something you could take off and put something else on. So we made clothes for her. So that's when I
Oh.
started sewing. I got into quilting in 2012 because I learned quilting is so much easier than sewing clothes. It is
Ah.
so much easier. It's a lot of sewing, don't get me wrong, but it is so much easier. And then I got into the design process, and then I learned, oh, you can take old t-shirts and make them into, quilts. And then so I got into that. And then, of course, that is the category in the quilting industry that we call memory quilts, because those t-shirts hold all those memories. So then it went from t-shirts to using regular clothing like flannel shirts and dress shirts and denim jeans. You could use almost anything. You can even use leather in a quilt, believe it or not. There's just
Wow.
so many options. But with the memory quilts, and being a designer, I came up with a design that actually incorporated a photo of your loved one who passed in the center of the quilt, surrounded by handwritten memories about them. And the original design concept was around a funeral service. So all the people that loved that person is attending the funeral, saying their final goodbyes. You give them a sheet of paper as they're signing the guest book and with a pen, and you say, write your favorite memory about them, and you write it down. And then they turned all of those into me, and I will take all of those handwritten memories, print them onto fabric, surround those around the photo, and then the colors in the quilt are literally all about the person who passed. So what was their favorite color? Did they have a favorite sports team? Was did they love a certain animal like horses or tigers or lions, whatever. So we incorporate all of that into the design. And then I learned that people wanted something more with
Mm.
that particular design. So that's when I designed the workshop. I have renamed it since you attended. So I went from Quilted Reflections to very simple prompted writing for remembrance, because that is exactly what it is. And like you said, when you attended with the Quilted Reflections title, it gave you the misconception that it was going to be somewhat of a quilting workshop and how to turn memories into, a quilt. But it's really all about getting those memories written down, because a lot of people just don't do it. They say, oh, yeah, that's a good idea. But how many of them actually do it? So that's why the workshop was born and came into existence.
Well, I did have a great time that afternoon and spending with
Mhm.
you with the quilter reflections, because to know that what I reflected upon, turned into a quilt, that was just amazing. It's like, oh, that's what I can do with my thoughts, my love that I have. I can
Mhm.
like express myself on paper. And there's some people who are writers like myself and yourself, and but then there's some people who may not like to write a lot
Right.
of their feelings and journal and
Mhm.
things like that. But I think that it's a beautiful concept, a beautiful way to honor your loved one, a beautiful way to just honor anyone. And of course, I would be remiss to say, with me having a newborn, you and I hate that I've got this background here, but
Right.
you sent a beautiful, beautiful quilt for my daughter,
Oh,
and it's
yes.
absolutely gorgeous. And I told you like the colors that I like and the colors, I want her to start liking. You're wearing one of my favorite colors today, purple. And it's just so beautiful. And I was just like, oh my gosh, and I lay it across her crib and it's just like so beautiful. And she just looks at it and I just thank you
Yeah.
so much. I especially love your signature there as well. So, if you are someone that's listening today and you want to you
Hmm. So with the workshop, we walk through 10 different prompts that kind of walk you through memory lane. So we start with early years, and that can mean different things to different people who attend. You can, um, if a parent is writing about a child, what is the first memory you remember when they were born or when you adopt them, whichever the case. If it is a child writing about their parent, what is the first thing you remember about them? Um, so, different things that we walk through and memories that are prompted with storytelling and different things, even personality and quirks. So, yeah, it's fun.
I had a great time, and thank you so much for being patient with me. This is what happens when you do a live recording, right?
Oh, yeah, of
All
course.
kinds of technical difficulties. And I'm just, so excited about, learning about what you creating and what you're creating for your business, Laura. And I know that you shared, about making choices, making decisions that's best for you in your life. And
Right.
becoming a minister, how did that happen for you? I didn't want to pass over that.
Okay. So, that was a strange experience for me, to say the least. So, my husband and I, he was stationed at Fort Bragg for about a year and a half, and that's where he was stationed when we got married. And we were in a really bad car accident where it literally totaled out both of our cars. Now, when I say totaled out, I mean annihilated our cars, literally.
Oh,
So the chassis under his car, and he was the one in front, actually buckled. So he couldn't, back then we had cassettes. I'm talking early 90s, and he couldn't even reach under his seat to get to his cassettes because the
oh,
chassis had buckled so bad. Um, and my car was the one in the middle, so I was literally smashed between two cars. It was a drunk driver that hit us.
oh
Um,
no.
to make a long story short, and it was on April Fool's Day,
Oh,
1993.
oh, you'll never forget. My
Right,
goodness.
exactly. I will never forget it. It was, I was knocked out, and when I came to, I heard my husband yelling my name, and I could not answer him because I was not breathing. So tell
Oh,
me that was not God. So anyway, that point on, and we both walked away from that accident. Even though I was knocked out, I had a head injury. It was a mild concussion, so they sent me home. I had a little bit of nerve damage from the whiplash, but over the years that has subsided, thankfully. But anyway, since we both walked away from that accident, I mean, there really is no way that we should have survived, either of us, because literally the only thing left of my car was the driver's seat.
oh
Um,
wow.
I could not climb out of my car by opening my door. I had to climb over the console and out the passenger door. And yeah, we knew that God had a better purpose for us. There's a reason why we survived that. And that's when we said,
Yes.
okay, time to find church. We need to find a really good church and figure out what's going on. So, um, and I'm going to kind of rush through this because it's kind of a long story, but it's important to get it all in to learn how it happened. So my
Yes.
husband, for those who have been in the military or those who are super duper patriotic, might know this. So the old guard is where the soldiers of the caisson platoon, the Pied Piper band, Tomb of the Unknown Soldier, etc. That's where they are stationed. We call it the
Hmm.
old guard in the Army. My husband had actually been accepted into the old guard. It is very, very difficult. Of course, they don't have very many spots open. And he was actually in line to become one of the guards to the Tomb of the Unknown Soldier.
Oh.
The Department of the Army actually refused to cut his orders and sent him to Germany. Now, this is 93, mind you. And at that point, a lot of the military bases in Germany were being shut down and they were being, um, uh, I'm going to say, conglomerated into the smaller posts together. So a lot of the
Okay.
larger ones shut down. So because of that, it was very difficult to ship anyone to Germany because more than likely, because of all of the moving around, there's not going to be a place for you because those
Hmm.
who were already in Germany, they wanted to keep in Germany for,
Okay.
so either way, my husband ended up back in Germany. And again, those who are in the military will understand this. He was at the reception station for 2 weeks before they even found a post to send him to in
Oh,
Germany.
wow.
And even at
Hmm.
that point, there were still several posts that he could go to, but there were no openings. So we ended up in this really small village of Germany called Vilseck. Literally, the army post was called Rose Barracks, and it had a 5 mile trail that went around it. So that's
Hmm.
how small the post was. I mean, 5
Hmm.
miles circumference all the way around. So
Wow.
very small post. But it was on the back door of Grafenwehr, which was the USA Europe wide joint training post. So
Hmm.
you're talking artillery. Um, Now, when I say artillery, I'm talking about the big tanks, the big, big ones called howitzers, that even though they were probably, say, 5 to 10 miles away, when they would shoot, it would literally shake my townhome.
Oh,
Like
wow.
windows would rattle, and um,
Wow.
when you experience, there's nothing like it, but then when you leave, you miss it, which is strange. But yeah, it's different. Um, so we ended up going there, and that's my husband was number two on the guest book of one of our churches that started there, and they were, and it's kind of strange. What is an American church doing in Germany? Well, the church organization that I'm a part of is called New Testament Christian Churches of America. We have what we call servicemen's works. So they are actually geared toward servicemen, whether they are Army, Navy, Air Force, or Marines. In almost every Army post, in almost every Marine post, we have a church that is literally geared around the servicemen serving in those areas.
Oh,
So,
great.
anyway, so we started going to church there. My husband got there in February of 94. They did not find housing for us until June. So I was not
Oh.
able to go to Germany until June of that year. So, say 5 months it took us to find housing. So, 5 months he was going to church. And back then that was before cell phones. So it cost a lot of money to call from Germany
Yeah.
to the States, but he would call and just kind of keep
Yes.
me up to date. About once a week he would call, which,
Hmm.
it was still a lot of money back then. But and while we were going to church there, this was going to sound corny to those who are not spiritual, but for those of us who are, you will understand completely where this is coming from. After a church service one night, my husband was out in the field. He was Army infantry. And I was listening, and a lot of you all from the 80s will understand this. I was listening to Sandy Patty's song, He's More Wonderful. And it's a
Oh.
duet, but I don't remember who she sings. I may be Amy Grant. I don't remember. It's long time. I haven't heard that song in years. But anyway, I was listening to that song. And of course, me being a singer, I also was singing along with it. And I was by myself. It was before my daughter was born. I was just literally in my own little world worshiping God with that song. And then it was
Yes.
almost like I got slapped in the face. And it was just a thought that came through. And it said, your husband's called to preach and I'm going to use you in song, like, and then piano and all this. I didn't know how to play the piano. I could pick out the notes because I can read music. I was a flute player, but,
Yes.
um, I didn't know anything about the piano really. But either way, so that's how we ended up in the ministry. I mean, it wasn't that, and I don't make a big deal about the fact that God spoke to me, because I didn't hear anything. It was just a thought, and it was enough to literally stop me it was like a slap across the face, and that is the only way that I can describe it.
Yes.
But
Yes.
I will say, God had apparently already been dealing with my husband about going into the ministry for him to tell me in that manner, and that's the only way I can say, because he's not going to tell me something that he's not already told my husband before. So yeah, but that's how we ended up in the ministry.
Oh, good. I'm so glad I didn't jump over that part because I
Right.
know, our lives have chronological order. And I'm
Right.
like, oh, okay, well, I know what you're doing now. So let's go back.
Right.
So that is just such a great touching story. And thank God that you guys survived it so that you
Right.
can live to tell this story and then
Mhm.
live out your purpose because a lot of people aren't doing what they like to do and not living out their purpose, and so doing those two things, and then of course the third, creating the opportunity to be a business owner, and
Mhm.
that's just amazing. And your life's work in working in the community and serving the community and serving being of service to others is just
Right.
so wonderful and amazing,
Yeah.
Laura. Well, is there anything else you want to share?
Yes. I am actually taking the workshop into senior living centers, so independent and assisted living, and some nursing homes for those who are able. We're going to be getting the family members involved, and we're going to rework the workshop to where it's about their own memories
Yes.
while they are still living, where they can write their own memories down, and then we can create an heirloom for their family while they are still living. So I have my first one March 19th, at a local nursing home here, or senior center. I'll call it that. It's not really a community center. It's actually senior living center where they live. It has some independent living, some assisted living, and a nursing home. So I'm looking forward to that. So I am going to be reaching out to more senior living centers to get those scheduled as well. So a lot's happening with that workshop, and I'm a little excited about that. That's really exciting. I hate that Janelle gets kicked off. I hate that this.
That's
There
okay.
you are.
Yes, I
Yes.
talk about unstable
Oh
internet.
yeah.
I don't, but I just think that's so wonderful,
Hmm.
that you're in senior living and you're now doing the workshop and you're having it available. I have your website, Crafty Quilt Designs, showing,
Hmm.
and I, want to make sure that everyone knows how to reach you.
And there she is.
Yes, my little angel, saying hey. And so we are able to reach you. Let me get to that, through
Okay.
Facebook, TikTok, and
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 Instagram.
Instagram. So Facebook, there you are.
Okay.
Um, Facebook.com quilting designs. And then our TikTok and IG, Crafty Quilting Designs is your handle.
Yes.
And Laura, I know that we do have some upcoming uh, events.
Right. So March 2nd is our in-person workshop. It is located here in Columbia, South Carolina at 3305 North Main Street. You can look up Remembering a Loved One on Eventbrite, so you can get registered there. We will have a light meal catered for us at that event. And then on March 11th, that is a Monday evening, We have an online workshop. Now that one is filling up pretty quickly. There, last I checked this morning, I haven't checked yet again, but as of this morning, there were only four, four, 3 or 4 slots open. So there are 21 or 22 places already taken. I'll leave it at 25 because I want to be able, if you do decide to purchase the quilt with all of your handwritten memories that we work on in the workshop, then I still want to be able to get to those. So I cap it at 25 so I can keep control of how things roll.
Yes, and deliver on the promise to make sure people get things in a timely
Exactly,
manner.
exactly.
Well, that's awesome, Laura. I do thank you so much for sharing your story. It's a powerful story. It's an amazing story, and I'm just so glad that God kept you throughout all of this, so that you
Oh,
can now,
yes.
help others reflect on their loved ones and create memories and create a lifetime. Because I can tell you, I married my husband. His mother gave him a couple of quilts. They're really nice and heavy. I
Mhm.
remember as a little girl, we slept on quilts on the floor.
Right? Yeah.
So quilting has been around for
It
centuries, for
it has.
centuries.
It has
And
been around since sewing, by hand before machines and all that.
yes,
Absolutely.
and it has a rich history. And this being Women's History Month in the month of March,
Mhm.
you are giving people a piece of history. So I really, really appreciate you for helping, tell that story and share that what you do with others as an entrepreneur. So here we have Laura Gal Rogers, the
Yes.
minister, veteran, quilter, entrepreneur, mom, and wife. And thank you so much for joining us today on Power Fridays Live. I do apologize for all my technical issues.
That
Um,
is quite all right.
and please do reach out. Tomorrow is the live, so look at on Eventbrite to find out more information about
Mhm.
that. And Crafty Quilt Designs is how you can reach Laura Rogers. And I thank you so much for your friendship for all this time, since
Right.
Head Start or kindergarten,
I know, right?
all of our lives.
Long time ago.
Long time ago. We won't.
Right.
We won't. You threw out some. You're very
Some
great.
years.
You threw out a lot of years in the 1900s.
Yeah, right?
I like to share, and so that was really great. Please do share this broadcast with your loved ones. Please do watch the replay. Hashtag replay if you have any questions for Laura. You want to learn more about crafting, you want to learn more about her story, she can even come and share with them. I think the Veterans Day events, you can make yourself available for speaking engagements.
Oh,
So
yes, absolutely. I do already have it open to where if anybody wants to schedule their own workshop, even with multiple family members, they can reach out to me to get that scheduled.
okay, that's great. That is
Yes.
so wonderful. Well, you're doing great things and doing great things for the community. So I appreciate you taking the time to share the love of what you do with others. So, as always, here, be, do, and have the greatness that you desire, because the greatness is in you. Please share this with a friend. Thank you so much for joining us on Power Fridays Live. Have a great weekend, and we'll see you next week. Thank you. Bye bye.
Bye.